Welcome along to Brands Hatch, everybody. We've got round 3 coming up for you shortly of the Porsche Club Motorsport Championship, which also includes the Porsche Sport Club AM Championship with Pirelli for you over the course of the challenges, twists and undulations of the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. Now, we have got not only a subtly reduced race because of constraints in the timetable. There was a large accident in one of the support races qualifying earlier on today, which caused a lot of circuit damage. So lunch break was brought forward to 10:30 this morning, and there was about a 2-hour delay whilst the fantastic Brands Hatch marshals and circuit staff got the circuit ready to go racing again. But it does put pressure on the timetable for this afternoon. So this is now going to be a 15-minute race, shorter than was originally anticipated. The grid is based on the fastest times that were set in qualifying. I can't bring you a graphic at the moment, but I can guide you through the grid. Car number 23, Simon Clark, a 3 times back-to-back former Class 1 champion, lines upon pole position. And alongside is number 14, which is Mark McAleer. He's won class championships in C1 in the past as well, the top class. Row 2 of the grid is number 11, James Cayley, and number 114, a former Class 2 champion, which is Jake McAleer. Third row of the grid is 74, that's Jim Bryan, and number 80, which is Bill Cayley. And row 4 of the grid is 32, Ed Hayes, and number 2, multiple former champion in this category, Pete Morris. Row 5 of the grid is the reigning overall champion, number 1, Paul Simpson, moving up from Class 2 to Class 1 this year, and alongside him is number 22, which is Pete Evans. And row 6 of the grid is number 26, David Burke, and 36, which is Jonathan Evans. The 7th row of the grid is number 52. That's the first of the AM class cars that we've got on the grid. Darren Lebet lining up alongside number 44, Andrew Porter. Those two were swapping who was going to be in pole in the AM category all the way through the qualification session this morning. And row 8 of the grid is number 12, Jamie Callender, and number 70, which is Angus Archer. The 9th row of the grid is number 10, Julian Morris, and number 28, which is Jess Wilkinson. The 10th row of the grid is number 15, Shiraz Khan, and number 45, Paul Seagrave. And the final row of the grid, if all 22 of them are there, and I can't see any reason why not after qualifying, number 56, Jason Brown, lines up alongside number 5, which is Brian Richardson. Now, we were scheduled to have Chris Dyer out there, but his car had an ECU problem yesterday in testing, and they couldn't get a replacement ECU in time, so he missed qualifying, and unfortunately, at the wheel of the Strasser prepared car will not be out. So that's such a shame that we've lost Chris Dyer from the entry list for this weekend. And also I didn't see Carl Hazelton out in qualifying this morning, so I'm not sure whether his car has managed to slot itself onto the back of the grid or whether the last car is going to be, and it is, yeah, the white and black and orange car of Brian Richardson. So it does look as though Carl Hazelton is an absentee from this weekend. So the cars making their way round onto the grid. We've got the main championship class. We've got the AM class it is for this year. And it's always nice to see that we've got this mixture of 997s, 996s and Caymans, all of which have different power outputs, but they all have to run a different weight in the car as well. So it does mean that in reality we equalise the performance of the 996, the 997 and the Cayman. There's nothing to choose between them, other than maybe you could argue the more powerful cars and heavier cars might utilise their Pirelli tyres subtly differently to the lighter cars with less power. We'll wait and see. So 15 minutes are on the clock. We have got all of the cars as good as lined up on the grid. Mark McAleer starting from the outside of the front row of the grid. Simon Clark starting from pole. Those were the 2 overall race winners at Donington Park, with Mark McAleer getting a good start from the outside of the front row of the grid. Simon Clark wasn't slow away, but through the second phase is able to draw himself alongside and just in front of Mark McAleer as they charge their way up towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. James Cayley tries to slot himself through into 3rd place, but driving around the outside of him is Jake McAleer, son of Mark McAleer, and the 2 of them are still side by side fighting over 3rd and 4th as they head up towards the braking area for Druids for the first time. So Andrew Porter may well possibly have picked up the lead in the AM category as well. We'll come back to that in a moment, but everybody's charging their way down in towards the heavy braking area for Graham Hill Bend for the first time. And already it looks as though Simon Clark, the race leader, is putting daylight between himself and Mark McAleer. It does look as though, yes, the number 44 car of Andrew Porter has picked up the early lead, I think, in the AM category. So on to the Grand Prix section of the circuit. The speeds really build as they head down Pilgrim's Drop and then start to climb up Hawthorne Hill in towards Hawthorne Bend. Pete Morris looking to try and make progress here to see if he can squeeze his way through and past Jim Bryan. Pete, who's been racing Porsches for a huge amount of years, whether it be in this championship or other championships like GT Cup and even briefly British GT. Struggling a little bit with pace this morning in qualifying, having only qualified in 8th position. He will desperately want to try and make some progress in this one. He's got the car of Jonathan Evans, the car with the pink flashes that sits behind him. Jonathan, I don't think, was present at Donington Park. Don't recall seeing that livery. And there's the lead for Class 2, or the AM class as it's called for this year. The number 44 car of Andrew Porter has got himself ahead of the dark blue car with the gold flashes to it in the hands of Darren Labette. Angus Archer could well be another one to watch out for in that AM class. He qualified only 4th quickest though of the AMs, having taken 2 victories in the AM category at Donington Park. Now Darren Labette is coming under pressure there from the number 10 car, which is Julian Morris. Julian, one of the drivers that stepped up from Class 2, where he was 3rd last year, into Class 1 for this year. Reigning champion also doing the same, stepping up from Class 2 to Class 1 this year, which is Paul Simpson. Best of the battles at the moment is between the number 74 car, isn't it? Jim Bryan, who is a bit of a cork in the bottle at the moment. He's got Pete Morris queuing up behind him. Pete Morris is coming under pressure from Jonathan Evans. Jonathan Evans has then got another car queuing up behind him, which is going to be the reigning champion, I think, Paul Simpson. And then Paul Simpson has got a car sitting right on his coattails, which is going to be Bill Cayley at the wheel of the green car with the gold flashes to it, with then David Burke not that far away. So that train of cars all descend round through the right-hander at Hawthorne Bend. Pete Morris, is he going to sneak up the inside going in towards Westfield on Jim Bryan? No, can't quite do it there. So the multiple former champion cannot quite squeeze his way through and ahead of the grey car with its lighter green flashes to it, but Bill Cayley might be up the inside here of Paul Simpson to try and squeeze his way through. Now, again, aborted overtake there, knew that the gap was just going to close, and then from attack, Bill Cayley now finds himself in full defence mode. He's got the yellow Cayman of David Burke right with him. Now Jim Bryan is still desperately trying to hang on to position, trying to make sure he positions his 996 so as not to let the 997 of Pete Morris go through. Then Pete Morris is delayed coming out the corner, which means that Jonathan Evans at the wheel of the number 36 car draws himself alongside. He's got the inside line as well as heading towards Paddock Hill Bend. Is he going to go through? Yes, he is. So good opportunistic driving there from Jonathan Evans, but Pete Morris is straight away back in defence mode again. And now that the two 997s are squabbling, not only is the 996 of Jim Bryan getting away, it's also allowing that train of Caymans to begin to close in the background as well. Overtake there as Pete Evans sneaks his way through and up the inside of David Burke's yellow Cayman. And now the Dayglow yellow and black United livery car is now trying to unpick the next car, which is just ahead of him, which is going to be Ed Hayes, I think. Yeah, lock of the brake there to try and avoid contact with Ed Hayes and his Cayman. So just 1 place gained by the 996. And possibly a flat spot on his Pirellis if he's not careful. All of the cars that run in the main championship class get a brand new set of Pirellis for each race meeting. If you run in the AM class, it's every second race meeting, every alternate race meeting that you get a brand new set of Pirellis. So for those cars running in the AM category, they'll be on the same 4 Pirelli slick tyres as they were on at Donington Park in reality. But the fight that's going on in the background, Paul Simpson, the reigning champion from Class 2 and overall champion, stepping up to Class 1, is having a real ding-dong of a battle with Bill Cayley. Bill work his way through. Not at Sterling's is the answer. So the two Caymans absolutely shadowing each other out of the corner. Just ahead of them, Pete Morris is having another nibble again to see whether he can unlock the door on Jim Bryan and try and squeeze his way through into 5th. But that's not quite going to work there. Slightly tighter line coming out of Clearways up towards Clark Curve is another opportunity, but Pete Morris, I don't think he's going to do it there. And Bill Cayley's also weaving around to see if he can unlock the door on Paul Simpson. Cut back on the exit of Paddock Hill Bend might be the order of the day for Bill Cayley, but he's just not close enough as they come out of the corner. So brilliant fighting all the way down through the order here for round 3 of the Porsche Club Motorsport Championship with Pirelli, including of course the AM Championship for this year. We'll also see the Boxsters back out on circuit later on today as well. Now Bill Cayley here, good run this time coming off Graham Hill Bend, but again Paul Simpson is also good off the corner. So rather frustrating for Bill Cayley, despite the fact that he's pushing hard. He's not able to do anything about the car ahead of him. And we've also now got Simon Clark starting to come under pressure from the car that sits directly behind him, which is Mark McAleer. He really has closed up over the course of the last few laps. And he's got a bit of help potentially in the background as well, which is son Jake McAleer, who sits there in 3rd place. So it's 997's first, second, third and I think fourth at the moment, because James Cayley's in a 997, isn't he, for this year? So there's the lead trio heading underneath the vehicle bridge. New section of tarmac that's been put in over the course of this week, which ends as soon as they come onto the Indy circuit. You're back onto the older tarmac once more. Over the start-finish line now will thread their way, and the top three are together. Simon Clark feeling the pressure from Mark McAleer, who's got Jake McAleer, his son, right behind him. The brake lights flash on at almost an identical time. Pick their way through the corner. Nice and easy to tell the two McAleer family cars apart as well, because it's silver and black and blue for Mark McAleer. It's black, silver and blue for Jake McAleer. So similar liveries, but easy to tell the two apart. The silver fronted car is Mark McAleer, the black fronted car is Jake McAleer. So along the Cooper Straight they'll go. They're on their fifth lap currently, with 7 3/4 minutes of the race still to go. The fastest lap of the race was set last time through by the charging third place car of Jake McAleer, 1 minute 37.895 from him, and that does come with an extra one single championship point. You get a point for pole position in your class, you get a point for fastest lap, or joint fastest laps as the case may be. You put your entry in nice and early, you get an extra point. There's also additional bonus points equal to the number of starters in your class, but if you claim the win, it's 25 points. So depending on how many starters you are in the class, it's usually around sort of 37, 38 points you could pick up for a win if you grab pole and you've got a good number of starters in the class, which is usually the case. So top three still together. Simon Clark definitely starting to feel the pressure a little bit at the wheel of his number 23 car. Say he was the Class 1 champion in 2022, 2021 and 2020. The man who's hunting him down, Mark McAleer, he won his first Class 1 championship way back in 2007, and then he backed it up again with other Class 1 championships in 16 and 17 and in 2023 as well. Now for Class 2, or the AM category, let's have a look what's going on. That looks as though it's still Andrew Porter that is hanging on to the lead of the AM category. But who's behind him? That looks as though it's Jamie Callender. Indeed it is. Yeah, it's the number 12 car of Jamie Callender that sits behind him. So he has only just moved his way up into second in the AM category. As they came over the start-finish line, it was the blue car with the gold flashes to it of Darren Lebet that was in second place, but he's now down into third in that category. Now the leading two have just managed to get a little bit of a gap between themselves and the car of Jake McAleer is there in third place, but the order still remains the same at this stage, with 6 minutes of the scheduled time allocation to go. Simon Clark on lap number 6, still needing to drive absolutely flat out. No suggestion that he's conserving the tyres for part 2, the second race that we'll see later on today. Say all of these cars running at the front are in Class 1. They all get a brand new set of Pirelli slick tyres for each race weekend. So they've got to see them through qualifying and the 2 races, which, as we say, with slightly shortened races today because of those big lengthy delays we had earlier on because of an accident in one of the qualifying sessions. Does mean that they can probably push a little bit harder on their Pirellis, and they'll still have a good amount of life left in what is a very good tyre at the end of the day's racing. So top 3 still together. Jake McAleer has had a good end to this lap and is now drawing himself right onto the coattails of his father once more. So onto the brakes, in towards the right-hander at Paddock Hill Bend. 5 minutes remaining, 6 laps completed, and the gap between the lead 3 is less than half a second as they came over the start-finish line that time through. But the order still remains the same. Simon Clark, Mark McAleer, Jake McAleer. The battle for the lead of the AM category just heading around as well, which is still, by the look of things, going the way of the number 44 car of Andrew Porter. But Jamie Callender is not that far behind. Andrew Porter had 2 second places at Donington Park. And we've also now got a fight going on as well between Ed Hayes, who's fighting away with the overall reigning champion Paul Simpson, the 2 Caymans together as they head in towards Graham Hill Bend. So the trio of AM category heading round through Druids now. Jamie Callender feeling the pressure from the number 52 car of Darren Lebet, who, remember, was the pole sitter in the AM category and is now running in third place. So they start to sprint their way along the Cooper Straight. Now, if Jamie Callender and Darren Lebet keep squabbling, it might just allow Andrew Porter to pull away a little bit more in the lead of the AM category. And who's fourth in the AM category at the moment? That'll be Angus Archer at the wheel of the white car with its sort of dark blue flashes to it. And Angus Archer was the double winner in the AM category at Donington Park. Well, he's off the podium here. The car's ahead squabbling. Will certainly aid his cause with 3.5 minutes to go to see if he can just edge up towards them. So there is Angus Archer. You can see the darker blue bumpers to his car and the darker blue stripe down the centre of it. So the leading three in AM heading down through Dingle Dell. Angus Archer beginning to close in. Was he a little bit quicker last time through? No is the answer. He was slower than the cars ahead last time through, but I think he's picking up the opportunity to close in this time through. And the top three overall have got themselves back together as well, so it's three fighting away for the lead in the AM class, and we've still got the top three fighting away for the lead overall as well. Wipe of the brow there from Jake McAleer as he went along the Cooper Straight, so he's working hard at the wheel of the number 144 car that sits there in third position. They're on their 8th lap at the moment. Jake McAleer in third place still hangs on to the overall fastest lap of the race so far. Simon Clark and Mark McAleer first and second on the road. Jake McAleer with the fastest lap sitting there in third place. I think has maybe just taken again another little breather for the first third of this lap, but is now certainly through the middle part of the lap. He does look quicker than the leading pair, and he's starting to close in once more through Sheen Curve. That's where the new tarmac that was laid earlier on this week starts. It also continues around through this corner here, which is the left-hander at Stirling. Now the race leader there was almost on the ragged edge coming out of Stirling, which I think has allowed Mark McAleer to edge up another quarter of a Porsche 997 length. Get on the gas as soon as you can. As they head over the start-finish line this time through, there should be time for one more lap plus the one they've just started, because that lap took 1 minute and 38 to do. Well, there's still now 1 minute and 40 on the clock, so they should be onto their penultimate lap of the race this time through. And for Simon Clark, he would dearly like to try and make it 2 wins out of 3 races so far this season. But that's exactly what Mark McAleer in second place is trying to do. He had a win at Donington Park. He would like to make it 2 wins out of the 3 races. And for Jake McAleer, well, he was third in both of the races at Donington Park. He would rather not finish third again, one would have thought. He'd want to be a place or possibly 2 higher, but he's doing everything right about it. He's still sticking with the leading pair as they head out of the left-hander at Surtees and start to build the speeds again as they head on towards Pilgrim's Drop. That's the car that's just outside of the top 7 at the moment, top 6 at the moment. That's Bill Cayley that we just saw there at the wheel of his green and gold Porsche Cayman. Second member of the Cayley family's in the race as well, of course, which is James Cayley. And for the lead of the AM class, that's closed up again once more, and you can see there's the telltale signs of maybe a very small amount of contact, because there's a dint in the bumper of the number 44 car of Andrew Porter. You could just see it there, as though something has got a little bit close. Now, maybe it was Jamie Callender possibly that tried something. There's no obvious signs of a dint in his front bumper, but certainly the class leader in the AM category has got a dint in the bumper. And for Jamie Callender in second place in the AM class, he's under pressure here from the pole sitter in the AMs of Darren Lebet, who's there in third place at the moment. Angus Archer is still fourth in the AM category and hasn't made any inroads at all into the cars he's been trying to hunt down. So through Hawthorne Bend for the penultimate time go the AM class leaders, and I think the checkered flag has actually come out slightly early. There was time for an extra lap, but I can see the checkered flag is already out, and it's come out probably a lap earlier than it should have done, but that's the timetable pressures that we're running to today, I'm afraid. So Simon Clark claims the win in round 3 of the Porsche Club Motorsport Championship with Pirelli. Mark McAleer second. Jake McAleer finishes in third place. We should see the Class 2 cars coming over the start-finish line before too much longer. They're just coming into the braking area for Clearways Corner now and are heading past the MSV building, and it does look as though it is going to be the number 44 car of Andrew Porter, who will be coming up towards taking the checker flag any second now. Through and over the start-finish line he comes, and yes, he is confirmed as being the winner of the AM category for the first time this year, because Angus Archer, who finished off the podium in the AM category there, took a clean sweep of it at Donington Park. So that's the first time we've had somebody other than Angus Archer claim a win in the AM category, and that will please number 44 there, Andrew Porter, because he had to work hard for that. 2 second places at Donington Park. You can see the dint in the rear bumper as well, can't you? Suggesting that The racing, as ever, was close but fair in the Porsche Club Motorsport Championship with Pirelli. I think we have pretty much had all of the cars over the start-finish line now, and whilst we won't be able to show you a graphic today, we can confirm the results then, and the win went the way of number 23. Simon Clark claimed the win from Mark McAleer in second place, and James Cayley was there in third place. Jake McAleer was there in third place. James Cayley was fourth, ahead of the fifth place car, which is number 74 Jim Bryan, and completing the top six was a multiple former champion Pete Morris. In the AM category, Andrew Porter claimed the win from Jamie Callender, and then the pole sitter Darren Lebet, who was third in the AM category. So that's it for the moment from Brands Hatch. We will be back later on this afternoon, though, with race 2 from the Porsche Club Motorsport Championship with Pirelli. Until later on today, it's goodbye.